the love we never spoke. Ben and Lily had been inseparable since childhood. Growing up on the same street, they shared everything. Their favorite books, secret hideouts, and even their dreams for the future. They spent endless summer days lying in the grass, talking about who they'd become when they grew up, vowing to stay best friends no matter what. And in the quiet moments between the laughter, something deeper grew between them, something neither of them dared to name. By the time they hit high school, everyone saw it. "When are you two going to admit you're in love?" their friends would tease. But Ben and Lily only laughed it off, refusing to risk what they had. There was safety in the friendship, an unspoken promise that nothing could change between them as long as they stayed just that. But things change. During their senior year, Ben met Sophie, a new girl who transferred in from another school. She was smart, charming, and instantly clicked with him. Lily noticed the way his face lit up whenever Sophie was around, and for the first time, a dull ache settled in her chest. A feeling she wasn't ready to admit was jealousy. But being the loyal friend she was, Lily encouraged him. She smiled through the pain, telling herself it was just high school romance. Ben and Sophie started dating, and suddenly, everything was different. The long afternoons spent in Lily's backyard became fewer and farther between. Ben was still around, but their conversations had shifted. His stories were now filled with Sophie. Lily hid her heartbreak the best she could, pushing her feelings down into a place even she couldn't reach. She told herself Ben was happy, and that was all that mattered. One rainy afternoon, just a week before graduation, Ben and Lily found themselves back in their old spot by the river. It had been months since they'd spent time alone together, and though they tried to keep the conversation light, there was an undercurrent of tension neither of them could ignore. "Remember when we used to plan out our futures here?" Ben asked, kicking a stone into the water. "Yeah," Lily replied, her voice softer than usual. "We were going to live next door to each other, travel the world, all that crazy stuff." Ben smiled faintly. "It doesn't have to be crazy, you know?" She gave him a sad smile, knowing that everything had changed. "I guess we just grew up." Ben stared at the water for a long time before turning to her. "You'll always be my best friend, Lily. Nothing will ever change that." But Lily knew that wasn't true. People drift, even when they don't mean to. Years passed. Ben married Sophie after college, and though Lily was the maid of honor at their wedding, she felt more like a spectator watching a life she used to be part of fade away. She moved to another city, pursuing a career in photography, her passion for capturing fleeting moments filling the void left behind. Every now and then, Ben would call, and they'd catch up, laughing about old memories, but it was never the same. The distance between them was more than miles. It was unspoken words, unresolved feelings, and the passage of time. Then one day, everything changed again. Lily got a call in the middle of the night. It was Sophie, her voice trembling. "Ben's sick. Lily really sick. Cancer." The words slammed into Lily like a freight train. She couldn't believe it. Ben, the boy who was always full of life, the one who promised they'd stay friends forever, was dying. Without thinking, Lily packed her bags and rushed back to her hometown, her heart racing with a mix of dread and urgency. By the time she arrived, Ben was already in hospice. His once vibrant body was frail, and his face, pale and gaunt, was almost unrecognizable. But his eyes, they were still the same. When he saw her walk into the room, a weak smile spread across his face. "Lily," he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. She sat beside him, taking his hand in hers. It was cold, and the reality of it all hit her like a punch to the gut. They sat in silence for a long time, the weight of their unspoken history pressing down on them. "I'm sorry," Ben finally said, his voice cracking. "For everything. For drifting away. For not being there." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, but she shook her head. "You don't have to apologize. You were happy. That's all I ever wanted for you." Ben looked at her, his eyes filled with regret. "I should have been there for you, too." The room felt heavy with everything they hadn't said over the years, with the love that had always been there but was never spoken. And now, it was too late. As the days passed, Lily stayed by Ben's side, watching as the illness took more and more of him away. One night, as they sat together in the quiet, Ben's hand slipped into hers again. "I loved you, you know," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Lily's heart stopped. She had waited years to hear those words, but now, in this moment, they were more painful than she ever imagined. "I loved you too, Ben. I always did." His eyes met hers, full of sorrow and peace, all at once. "I know," he whispered, and then, just like that, he was gone. Lily sat there for what felt like hours, the weight of everything crashing down on her. The friendship, the love, the missed chances, the unspoken truths, it all felt like too much to bear. She held onto his hand, not ready to let go, knowing that when she did, she'd be letting go of not just Ben, but the future they once dreamed of together. The funeral was quiet, filled with friends and family, but it felt empty to Lily. As she stood by his grave, the wind whipping through the trees, she whispered, "I'll never forget you, Ben. I'll carry you with me." And as she walked away, she felt the loss of not just a friend, but of the love they never had the courage to explore. It was a bittersweet truth sometimes. The people we love most are the ones we never truly get to keep. Subscribe for daily uplifting stories, and let's fill each day with positivity and warmth.